everybody, it's Tony George along with Sean Salisbury, the host of the Sean Salisbury Show, ex-NFL quarterback, and of course, sports analyst over there at iHeartRadio with one of the best sports talk shows in the country. And Sean, we're talking about the Chicago Bears today and a little bit of a quarterback controversy. Coach on the hot seat. They say he's in the last year of his option as head coach. So is the general manager, I might add. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago, not to mention the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers, the Minnesota Vikings. I think they can beat the Detroit Lions this year. But we've got Justin Fields out of Ohio State named the backup to Andy Dalton already. Sean, is this one of these cases we talked about with the New England Patriots where we may have a known name as a starter, but it's not going to be long? And according to some of the press releases I've seen today here as we tape this on the 24th of August, Cam Newton may already be not starting in New England. But I'm curious to know how long of a leash you think Andy Dalton has, being an ex-NFL quarterback and knowing how things work kind of on the sidelines, so to speak. Your thoughts on that scenario right now?
Well, my guy Matt Nagy is going to stubborn his way into making Dalton the starter in the first game. Listen, all of them, Dalton, Cam, and Jimmy Garoppolo, are all under the same situation. If you haven't got us moving and we don't see great results, in my mind, this is me speaking, in the first month, you're going back to a backup role. It's just the way it works, because some of these young quarterbacks don't know what they don't know, so they react and make plays. Take a look at all three situations. Cam, hell of a talent, good player, injured a lot, and you got a guy in Mac Jones who's a better passer when it comes to consistency and timing, and actually just is. Now Cam's health, but Cam's a big-time playmaker, and we obviously talked about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation and Trey Lance, but this one, Dalton, KG veteran, good to have on your team, says it's his year. We'll see if he can make stuff and make plays outside and off schedule. I know Fields can. Fields will start in this game and play the first half, I think, in the preseason game. Dalton's been announced as a starter, but I've seen this movie before. If they come out and they're floundering around, what chance does Andy Dalton have if, in fact, he throws a pick or two, a game or two in a row, to keep the job? I mean, at some point in time, the pressure becomes, and now it's the unique man that can deal with all that and still win. But the overwhelming ability, instead of playing to win, sometimes you play not to make a mistake because this is your job on the line. And if that's the case, you're not as aggressive. And if you're not as aggressive, you become a guy that's hesitant. And before you know it, you're throwing the ball to the wrong team or not aggressive and doing the things you're good at. Dalton's a good player. Once again, the ceiling is so much higher, and the ability to get on the edge and do things outside the pocket, off schedule. Dalton will be fine on schedule, and he's a decent runner, but I think that Justin Fields, once he grasps and knows what you're trying to accomplish, like on that hot read that you saw where he got smoked in the face on the penalty this past weekend, 2 weeks from now, he should be able, after going and watching that film, knowing two guys came, we had 2 to block 3, 3 to block 4, 2 to block 4. You got to throw hot. And when he does, he won't take that hit. He'll hit the back and the flat. The back was a free release, and he'll learn that. Once he does, you're going to have to make the move because his jobs are on the line. I don't think Andy Dalton's taking you deep into the playoffs. I'm not sure Justin Fields can. Rookies will make a lot of mistakes. If you've got a little bit of patience, Tony, they'll get through it. We've got I'm telling you, our first-year quarterbacks this year, Zach Wilson's been better than all 5 of them, and he's on the worst team of the group maybe with the Jets. So I'm impressed. I think Justin Fields is going to be fine. While Cam may start and they all 3 may start, if there's not winning, or if you're 2-2 or 1-3, or you're 2-2 but your offense is floundering, and the reason why you're floundering is the quarterback isn't making extra plays, just kind of there, all 3 of them will be replaced. I expect all 5 rookies to start a significant amount of time this year. We'll see if Andy Dalton can hold off Justin Fields. He's going to have to play mistake-free, because if he doesn't, that division will run away with him.
Okay, well, a couple things about Andy Dalton, and I'll pitch it back. By the way, the season win total here, 7.5 with the Chicago Bears in the division. Green Bay's at 10 wins, Minnesota 9, Detroit 4.5. Take the under there. We got some sort of a noise issue here.
I hear you, though.
There we go.
I don't hear it.
Okay.
I got you.
We had a little bit of a we had a little bit of a technical noise issue, but let's talk about Andy Dalton real quick. We talked about the San Francisco 49ers on a previous video today. And you made the statement in that from head to toe, 53-man roster, they may have one of the best rosters in the league. Well, let's go back 5 or 6 years ago, Sean. I will tell you for sure that the Cincinnati Bengals under Marvin Lewis, when Andy Dalton was there, had one of the best roster. They had the best roster in the division, including the Steelers and Roethlisberger, for about 3 years. And one of the top rosters in the NFL, and they couldn't get past round 1 of the playoffs with Andy Dalton as quarterback. So let's not forget that. Then, let me ask you, then to expound on that, Andy Dalton started for the Dallas Cowboys last year, Sean, and was not successful. And I would say he had better talent around him on the offensive side of the ball at Dallas. What figures that he's going to be successful here?
Yeah, and Tony, you make a great point. Here's the way it gets down to it. I'm trying to get people. I'm always asked to define what a franchise quarterback is or what you need in this NFL to get to where you want to go. If we listen, I know Matt Nagy's quote was, "I got to see Andy Dalton in the regular season." Okay, I mean, you've only seen him for what, a dozen years, whatever it's been. And I like Andy, great to have on a team. But there is, I know who he is. And who he is if you got a really good roster, you can get to the playoffs. You ain't winning a Super Bowl. Now, I don't know quite yet who Justin Fields is, but I can tell you this. I know what I do know, and it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. He's going to make more plays overall. You may make a mistake one. He'll take a step back, but his explosives are going to give you 3 steps forward as opposed to Andy's 1.5 or 1 step forward. And that's not derogatory. It's just a fact. And I'm often asked, define franchise quarterback. And well, the stats and where you were drafted, it's not about money or where you were drafted. It's, to me, it comes down to, there's a lot of things, but the best simple way for me to describe it is, do you win because of him or do you win in spite of him? If you win in spite of him sometimes, then I got to play the guy that elevates that. If you win because of him, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Mahomes has got a great roster. We don't know, but we know Mahomes is worth about. If you stuck Mahomes in Detroit, they wouldn't be picking first or second this year just because of him. So does he, and then the second one, does he elevate everybody's play no matter what? Meaning if he's not playing well, do people rally around him? To me, a franchise quarterback, you win because of him. Not the only reason, but with him, you know every single time you show up that there's a chance you're going to win. Fields is going to give that to you eventually. Andy Dalton is not. I too, if this, would you say it's 8 games or 7.5? 8 or 7.5?
7.5.
7.5. I believe that the Chicago Bears can win 8 games because they're going to make the choice to switch quarterbacks. I don't keep taking overs, but I'm thinking the Bears, decent defense. Matt Nagy's got to be a better play caller. Justin Fields should be able to stumble into 2 or 3 wins when he plays just on his skills alone. I'm going to take, and they can split with Minnesota, and they can sweep Detroit. There's 3. Now we got to find out where you can find. I am going to take the over, but I reserve judgment that if all of a sudden they don't make the switch to Fields, that'll mean they're going to be better because Andy Dalton's playing great football. I'll take the over at 8 wins. I think they're under 500, but I think they win 8 games.
They open up at the LA Rams. That's going to be a loss. And by the way, Matt Stafford knows how to pick his way around the Chicago Bears defense. He's been doing it his entire career. Then they have Cincinnati at home. They can win that. At Cleveland, they're probably going to lose that. Then they play Detroit. They're going to win that.
2-2.
At Las Vegas, toss-up ball game.
Depends. Yeah.
Then they got Green Bay, and then at Tampa Bay back-to-back. That's going to be ugly. And then they got San Fran, and then they're at Pittsburgh on a Monday Night Football game. Those all before their bye. They're liable to start out 3-6, Sean.
And they're going to, if they want to get to my over, and Tony, I don't know what you're going to choose, but if they want to, they're going to have to steal one of those games in Vegas.
Yeah.
They're going to have to still play in the Raiders or go in and steal one from Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. I don't know if they're capable, but I can tell you this, with Justin Fields, at least I could just throw him out there and say, dude, go make me some plays. You're used to it. So I need explosives, and I'm still going to stay the over, but 3-7 or so at the bye week, or 3-6, whatever it is, that's going to be a rough go. And if it was 16 wins, Tony, I'd be taking the under. 16 games. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
this
yeah.
17th game kind of changes the game for me. It's hard because if Matt Nagy doesn't get to 8 wins, you can rest assured he's not going to coach there next year.
Yeah.
So his job's on the line.
I'm going to take the over here as well. And I'm going to take the over because of Justin Fields. I think you hit the nail right on the head, 100%. Spoken like a true NFL quarterback and a guy that won the Grey Cup up in Canada. There is a quarterback that can make a difference on this team, and it's not Andy Dalton. It's going to be Justin Fields, and that's a wild card that you have to consider when you're betting over and unders on season win totals in the NFL. And I think that wild card is a positive and not a negative. Their final 4 games, they got to play Minnesota twice, home and away, at Seattle, and they end the season at home against the Giants. And that may be the deciding game. And I'm not so sure that 8-9 is going to save Nagy's job. And I'll tell you what, and I think if you and I are talking about it, I'm pretty sure he knows it. So, he's going to be, he's going to give him the best chance to have a winning record. There's not a coach in the league that's on the hot seat that doesn't want to win every game, folks. There's nobody that's pitching crap to the curb and saying, well, whatever, I'll just take my buyout and move on. These guys all have a competitive spirit. He mentored by Andy Reid. He knows how to win. He's been on winning teams. He's been around talented quarterbacks. He was around Mahomes when he came in the league before he went to Chicago. I think that they're going to go over the 7.5 here, get to 8, possibly 9, Sean.
Yeah, and real quick, Tony, with that, with Matt Nagy, listen, and the one built-in excuse, not that you'd make them, but if you start a rookie early, they give you a little leeway, especially if the general manager, Ryan Pace, if they see flashes of brilliance and you get to 7 or 8 wins with a rookie quarterback, then you're sitting there saying, okay, look at the strides we've made as a front office and ownership. You're saying, maybe Matt Nagy is onto something now that he's got a player, right? And then, so there's a chance. Put it this way, I hate to say it, but the sooner he plays Justin Fields, it's 2 ways to save his job. You're going to be a better offense because he's more explosive, and you're going to get more leeway because he's a rookie from ownership. So unless Matt Nagy knows something we don't, and maybe he does because he sees him every day, maybe he sees Fields and says he's not ready to handle all the stuff that goes on. And I know they brought Andy Dalton there for a reason, but I'm going to tell you, that leash better be so short, because don't get 6 weeks into it and be 1-5. Because even no matter how good Justin Fields plays, they're not good enough as a roster to overcome that after a 1-4, 1-5 start. You better keep a close eye on this.
Sean and I have a tentative over 7.5 wins, and that is plus 100 on the money line for the Chicago Bears. Be sure and tune in later this week. We'll be breaking down another NFL team, and we're going to have a free college football pick, as we have college football upcoming this weekend as we tape this on August the 24th. So Sean getting back to his winning ways there. You could catch him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered and at iHeartRadio for the Sean Salisbury Show. Catch me at Doc Sports. Take advantage of the free $60 in the link in the description below and get yourself hooked up with a football account this year, folks. We're ready to rock and roll. Thanks for tuning in.